All right, it's your boy Spankdog, aka Puffinstein at YouTube. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You already know. Let's get into it. There's usually articles put out about the stuff that I'm talking about. Like I've said, if you can't touch it, see it, smell it, you don't know if it's real. There are trusted sources, but at the same time, you just never know. Some of the stuff I do believe could be true, and some of the stuff is too far fetched. The stuff that's in the news reports has been reported on, so I wouldn't say alleged with that. Person that cares really goes and helps people get health care. You gotta remember too, all these people talk about working hard and this and that. I know people that work hard and they'll never get $100,000 a year salary or better, and it's not because they're not hard workers, or it's not even because they're not great thinkers. Due to capitalism, it's gotten to the point where a large amount of the world's funds are controlled by a few people. All right, big shout to Minutes of Horror. All right, guys, so we're about to get into the video. I'm gonna play right now.
Make no mistake about it, we definitely have quite a few things to talk about today. For example, this whole Trump ballroom and the possible real reason behind it being built. But before we go ahead and get into any of that, I did go to the Economist website for the 2026 World Ahead magazine cover, just like the very prophetic 2025 and the 2024 covers, and they show us this. I'm going to go ahead and hold off doing a breakdown on this because I don't know if this is going to be the actual cover, because right next to it it says Tom Standage's 10 trends to watch in 2026. So I don't know if this correlates to that, because on the website it still says the World Ahead 2026 coming on November 12th. But this is still interesting nonetheless, because there is still a lot of symbolism here, and one of the things that really stood out to me are these drones and the aircraft that are attacking the Earth. What stood out to me too was this cargo ship right here, but it's really a battleship in disguise attacking America's 250th anniversary cake. So are they hinting to a major false flag around that time? Directly under the missile and the cake, you can see a controller connected to a brain. People will be played. And this is what we always
Mm.
see with these major false flags: people being played with, people being lied to, people's emotions being toyed with. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and do a bigger breakdown on this cover on November 12th. And really quick, I need your help with something. Maybe.
All right, so look, right off the bat, he starts with talking about Donald Trump and him building a new ballroom in the White House, which is interesting. He talks about the drones, which is probably the most interesting to me. They had the drones all over the place not too long ago, and now we don't see or hear about them anymore. In my opinion, it makes me wonder if they were our own. It just came off to me like it was technology that they have that they don't talk about. And then he also talks about the cover of The Economist. It's wild. It has like 100 cartoons. They're inferring a lot of stuff on that cover.
Maybe you can explain it in the comments section, but the president of Argentina has been really in the news lately. Matter of fact, one of the more recent news articles about him says he defies calls to float Argentine peso freely. And for that article, he takes this photo, and just something about it, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Really gives me the creeps. It gives off an as above, so below type of feelings. Reflection and his actual face feels off. I don't know. Maybe one of you in the comments section can explain what is creeping me out here. I had uploaded a video that included a segment talking about Trump's ballroom. Now, I have spoken about it in a couple of videos on this channel as well, more specifically the numerology. You have the $300 million cost, the 90,000 square feet, and then you divide the 300 million by 90,000, you get exactly $3,333.33 per square feet. I don't think that's really a coincidence, but I have never spoken about the true purpose of what they're building. Now, they could still be building a ballroom that's for the public to see, but I think what they're truly doing is beneath the ground. And in that video, I said I heard one of the better theories yesterday is that what's actually happening is that they are building this massive AI data center below.
Tell me what you think in the comment section if you think they're building a data center underneath the White House.
silly, that's stupid, that's not what they're doing. But as that individual had pointed out that came up with this theory, is that most of the donors for this ballroom are these tech giants. And a lot of these tech giants that were invited to that dinner that had exactly
Telling you guys, man, money's ruining the world, man. Capitalism, it seemed like the right answer. It seemed like free enterprise. Like, there was no stopping a man that was on a mission and had a dollar and a dream. Now it's become money hoarding. And then recently there was a real famous guy on TV talking about it. Let me tell you something. Michael Moore made a documentary called Capitalism. And that's when I was really, hipped to the fact that this is not a good thing. I don't get out how a man who he got $1 trillion, let's say. This is hypothetical. So they take 500 billion and leave you with 500 billion and you're mad.
33 people. For example, you'll now find news and media saying that the dinner hosted by Donald Trump at the White House on October 15th, 2025, was specifically for donors to the new White House Ballroom project. And again, they're all tech giants. Now, not everybody in attendance donated to the ballroom that we know of anyway. Some are still kept in secret. For example, Bill Gates is not known to have donated to the ballroom, but he does serve other purposes.
These are reports. That's why I say it's not conspiracy. But when you take a good look at what you're being told and connected to other things, other meanings come from these articles. Dots get connected.
Of the 33 individuals at this dinner was a representative for Lockheed Martin. Well, Lockheed Martin just so happens to be donating to this ballroom. And while this does indeed sound very convincing, here's where I was sold was due to the fact that the man that owns TikTok, all these other forms of media, Larry Ellison, the man that's also
he's another one that creeps me out.
Considered to be the shadow president of the United States, built a massive AI data center beneath Jerusalem in 2021, and it costs exactly $319 million. $319 million for a massive data center beneath Jerusalem. $300 million for a massive data center beneath Washington, D.C. I don't think it's a coincidence.
See, when I told you that the reports and the other reports, if you look at them in contrast, you'll notice that if they put $319 million, $319 million into building a data center under Jerusalem, and then all of a sudden construction goes on in the White House, and it's not too far-fetched to wonder if what they said was construction of a ballroom is really what they did in Jerusalem.
All these tech giants donating to it. After he built this data center beneath Jerusalem, news came out that he wanted to build 100 more globally, connected right back to Israel. Continue to read this article. It says, Oracle is planning to expand its data center footprint significantly in the near future. In the company's Q2 2024 earnings call this week, founder and CTO Larry Ellison said the company is in the process of expanding 66 of its existing cloud data centers and building 100 new cloud data centers. And all of these data centers will again be connected to the one that's beneath the ground in Israel. I wouldn't doubt one bit that one of these 100 data centers connected right back to Israel will also be the one that's beneath the White House. He is also in partnership with Microsoft and Amazon when it comes to these data centers as well, the two organizations, again, that have also donated to this quote-unquote ballroom. He had also partnered with Amazon Website Services, and remember, Amazon Website Services also operate with many, many organizations and companies. We saw that when they went down recently. And it says to play.
How could you become rich and become the bad guy? It just doesn't make no sense. How do you become rich and become Lex Luthor instead of and then you see people who don't have nothing and they'll be selfless,
place Oracle databases in AWS data centers, with the partnership focusing on allowing customers to run Oracle databases within the AWS infrastructure. So he is everywhere and now possibly beneath the White House. Now that we know that Larry Ellison has his hands in Amazon and AWS, I do find the timing interesting of Amazon's partnership with Flock. Mass surveillance and data gathering, where they're having individuals' Ring cameras do just that. Scope out and monitor their neighborhoods for everything, and they're sending this information right back to Flock, And now we know who Flock is sending this information to.
Models are trained.
Big shout out to Jeff Bezos' wife. Jeff Bezos' wife won a $40 billion divorce settlement, and she gave $20 billion to charity. That's a hero. You know what I'm saying? And I don't understand how she could have that kind of logic, yet her husband can't, and all his billionaire friends can't.
On publicly available data, all the data on the internet. So if you look at ChatGPT or Anthropic, Grok, Llama, what have you, they're all trained on all of the data on the internet. In other words, publicly available data. For these models to reach their peak value,
this guy right now is about to say he wants to have access not to public data but to private data. How are you going to access private data unless we allow you?
We just had to change, and it is past tense, we had to change, we did change that database so that that Oracle database can take the data that's already in the Oracle database and make it available to AI models for reasoning. So the AI model can reason on not just public data, but on private.
This makes a lot more sense, and the dots really connect than it just being a underground bunker. I mean, they already have underground cities, massive underground bunkers, and so forth. They're not going to build another one beneath the White House. If they are, then it's just to protect this data center. They already have an underground bunker where the White House happens to be, the East Wing, matter of fact. I mean, just look at Larry Ellison's data center beneath Israel. 9 floors underground, Oracle's Israel data center can withstand a rocket, a missile, or even a car bomb. And what exactly is located in the East Wing of the White House where this quote-unquote ballroom is being built? None other than the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, which is a secure underground bunker located beneath the East Wing that functions as a command and control center for the president during emergencies. Why, oh why would they keep it a secret that they would build a data center beneath the White House? I mean, they could just come out and say they're just making it more tech savvy, but they don't really want to expose who would then own and operate the White House.
Well, the renewal of the Jewish state is something that I think touches all of us. For 2,000 years, we were a stateless people. And now we have a country of our own, defended by all the brave men and women of the IDF. So anything we can do to support them, who, devote their lives for preserving the state of Israel, keeping the people safe, and allowing our state to continue in sometimes in very, very difficult situations. I have been to Israel. I have been to the border. I have spent time to the people who govern the state of Israel, and I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people.
I'm sorry, I don't trust it. I trust my man who does the channel. So if he's on him, I'm on him too. Like I said, certain things fit. It's them puzzle pieces. It's like, yeah, then explain to me why this all of a sudden is so coincidental and it fits right into this, and then they're talking about this, and this guy works for this guy, and that's how these things be. They tie into each other. I don't trust a lot of stuff they say. A lot of stuff happened recently where people got hurt and they gave a story and I didn't believe the story. That doesn't mean that they weren't telling the truth. I'm just saying I don't believe it, especially not easily like that, where you just tell me something and that's what, that's fact to me. It's my duty to question the stories that are told to me, things that are presented as truth. But then when you take a look at it, something ain't right.
Oh, well, after Silicon Valley, there's an area, Herzliya is probably got more startups than any other place other than Silicon Valley in Northern California. So we've actually acquired a number of Israeli companies. We have 2 CEOs at Oracle.
Money makes people lose their mind. They talk down about people who don't have money. The money I've seen is peanuts compared to what these people deal with. And I've seen people go crazy over small amounts of money. People are scrounging for crumbs. So I don't want it to be where it's like the rich versus the poor. It's the good versus the bad. If there's people out there with tons of money that really have good hearts, they're good with me. And same thing, if there's people that don't have money and they don't have good hearts, they're no good with me. It's not a money thing. It's about if you're a good person or a bad person. The amount of money doesn't matter. The color of your skin doesn't matter. None of that matters. You know, you having compassion, love, that's what matters.
One's name is Safra Katz, and she was born in Israel. So again, we love the country of Israel, and we'll do everything we can to support the country of Israel.
Recently here,
Christian influencer, he said, he talked about the woke right. And he said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke right, because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work well. Okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that...
See, when he says the drones, he says, I'm not going to get into that. You understand what I'm saying? He spoke about drones like if they were very, very secretive. It was just the way, right after saying drones, he said, I'm not going to get into that. That made it seem suspect, in my opinion.
Apply to the battlefield in which we engage. And the most important ones are on social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it's can be consequential.
It gives me a bad vibe too.
And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy.
He's talking about buying up social media, TikTok and X. Why?
The friend. You should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight. Okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpoint? Yes.
Now, one could also say that the 90,000 square foot is not enough to hold a massive data center when a lot of them are in the hundreds of thousands of square foot. 90,000 square foot would mean it's a smaller data center, but we really don't know how deep this goes underground and how far this actually expands and how much money this will truly cost at the end of the day. I mean, this could go hundreds of thousands of square feet below the surface. And he pretty much outlines it here. It's very telling what they're doing. Every government location will have a data center built beneath it, feeding back one central point.
To government and what government's doing, there are artificial intelligence tools, and some of them I know that Oracle have developed around financial management for government. But also, tell us a bit about because you're right at the forefront of this revolution, what it means for what government should do in terms of its digital infrastructure, digital ID, data centers, and so on.
How do you take advantage of these incredible AI models? And the first thing a country needs to do is to unify all of their data so it can be consumed and used by the AI model. You have to take all of your healthcare data, your diagnostic data, your electronic health records, your genomic data. And in the Middle East, in the UAE, for example, they're incredibly rich in data. They have a lot of population data. The NHS in the UK has an incredible amount of population data, but it's fragmented. It's not easily accessible by these AI models. We have to take all of this data we have in our country and move it into a single, if you will, unified data platform. So we provide context. When we want to ask a question, we've provided that AI model with all the data they need to understand our country. So that's the big step. That's kind of the missing link. We need to unify all of the national data, put it into a database where it's easily consumed.
This guy's over here just yes manning the shit out of him. Like, yeah, I'll give you my data. You're a billionaire. Take my data. Gotta remember, money don't make you a big dog. It's your heart that makes you a big dog.
Consumable by the AI model, and then ask whatever question you like.
But with that being said, let's go ahead and see what other people are talking about other individuals also controlling other sectors like the environment.
Bill Gates is very interested in your water while everyone's distracted with indictments and celebrity BS. Bill Gates, BlackRock, and Nestlé I
just heard about BlackRock recently, and they don't say good things about BlackRock. They're an investment firm. Bill Gates is supposed to have a plan to give away almost all his money. While we're sleeping on Bill's over here buying all the water. People were saying if you control food, people need food. Water feeds everything. You understand? Like a tree don't eat a burger. You get what I'm saying? A tree needs water.
Quietly teamed up. Yes, Nestlé. Same company whose chairman literally said water isn't a human right. And now they're making moves to...
That's what it is. Water is a human right. How are they controlling it with finances?
Own it. This isn't speculation. It's already happening. Gates is buying up farmland that sits on major aquifers. BlackRock is pouring billions into water infrastructure. And Nestlé still extracting millions of gallons while local communities run dry. They're not just buying land, they're buying access to rivers, lakes, groundwater. They're investing in the tech to monitor, track, and reroute where water flows and who gets it. This isn't about conservation. This is about control. Food.
This is days after I had heard somebody talk about BlackRock having their hand in everything.
Already controls people, but water controls everything. You can live without oil. You can survive without power. But water, you've got days. They already run agriculture, finance, and energy. Now they want to own survival itself, and no one's stopping them. This is a hostile takeover of the one thing we need to live. And by the time people wake up, it'll already be gone.
What is even more insane is the fact that we have the former Nestle CEO, Peter Brabeck, and we have BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink. Both have power, positions of power and control inside the World Economic Forum. We have Bill Gates buying up all the farmland and the foods, and we have other billionaires like Elon Musk saying they want to go ahead and control how much.
This is a tweet from Elon himself. A large solar-powered AI satellite constellation would be able to prevent global warming by making tiny adjustments in how much solar energy reached Earth. So they're trying to control how much sun we get. Now, like I said, I don't know if Elon is sincerely trying to be a good guy. If you've seen my past videos, I talk about geopolitics. They talk about how they've sprayed aerosol in the air to deflect the sun. So I know that they're trying to control the amount of solar power that reaches the Earth.
Sunlight is given to the Earth. It's all about dominance. Once that digital ID is fully out there, you step out of line in any way, shape, or form, and they're going to go ahead and take away any and all of these natural resources.
Something for everybody to really think about. Governments around the world seem to be doubling down on this net zero goal, even though the most influential and vocal people over the last 2 decades that have been speaking about climate crisis have now stepped back and changed their opinion on what this climate crisis is really all about. Bill Gates has even said in his most recent interviews that it's not as immediate or as catastrophic as once thought, and that allegedly
he's telling us that they've talked about how bad the situation is with global warming and anything else that's being, the world's being affected by pollution, global warming, the ice caps melting, fish pollution, microplastic. And now the people that were pushing that the most are saying that, it turns out it's not as bad as we thought. They're pivoting towards something more beneficial for themselves.
Technology, innovation, and adaptation might naturally balance things out over time. So there's the twist. Whilst Bill Gates and people in positions of power like him are stepping back from the climate crisis, all of the governments around the world right now seem to be properly doubling down on all of this. Just think about what it is that I'm actually telling you right now. The people who funded the narrative for the past 2 decades are quietly shifting their opinion and stepping back from it all, while the governments are all building new policies, taxes and restrictions around it. It's like the script changed, but the actors on the political stage just didn't get the memo. So
there's nothing wrong with staying woke, you know what I'm saying? And people have made it like anybody who says stay woke is radical. That's not true. It's just a statement. It's all it is saying don't be asleep. If they come to do something to you, if you're awake and alert, you're more likely to be able to defend yourself. If you're asleep, you're not going to be able to defend yourself. That's just what it is. You know, you could joke about it all you want, but if somebody came to hurt you, would you rather be asleep or would you rather be alert and awake?
Let me ask, what's driving the push now? Is it really about saving Earth? Or is it about control, funding, and overall global alignment? Either way, the message is shifting. And if you're paying attention, that message tells us everything.
So here's the thing. When it comes to a lot of these individuals, including Bill Gates, who are now backing away from the whole quote-unquote climate problem.
He's giving all his money away over the next certain amount of years. But then he does things that kind of contradict that.
We're trying to push. That is because a lot of these individuals own and control these data centers, these massive data centers that are pulling from the planet's resources like none other. This would make them look like massive hypocrites, but at the end of the day, they really don't care what the public thinks, but there are limits. How can you push the whole climate agenda when at the same time you're behind these massive AI data centers that are just wrecking the planet?
You guys are going to tell me you don't think it's suspicious at all, with everything going on with the Charlie Kirk situation, that the same sheriff that was in 60 Days In, a show about people who literally go undercover, is the same sheriff that was there the day that they announced the arrest and identification of the man who killed Charlie Kirk. And that looks like quite an interesting ring. It almost reminds me of these massive rings Erica Kirk keeps wearing around town. Dead giveaway, by the way. Screams fraud to me. Not just that, but why do they keep using Jason Aldean to push narratives, to stir the pot, to push agendas? Just so happened to be his concert where 59 people were shot in Vegas. And only a few years later, it just so happened to be Jason Aldean posting the music video, Try That in a Small Town, to really stir the pot. And let's not forget the same sheriff who was involved in the Vegas shootings was also the same sheriff on duty barricading civilians into a wildfire in Lahaina. Not sure if you heard of it. Let's not forget he was...
You see the receipts she's coming with? You know, like there's people out there that'll do a commentary on conspiracies and they'll have no sort of receipts, or they'll just cover it because it's sensationalized. It might not equate to the definitive answer, but it makes a lot of sense.
Was also allegedly mentioned in the P. Diddy trial, where a victim went to him for help after she had been gang assaulted by Sean Diddy Combs and his friends, where he told her to go home and didn't even give her medical attention.
Wow.
Something is off with all of this. The odds of all of these people being connected to all of these nefarious things at the same time, slim to none. Slim to none, I'd say.
I just told you about the coincidences. She just brought it up herself. Too many coincidences. If there's that many coincidences, it's not a coincidence.
For a lot of us, I feel like we already believe that the whole Charlie Kirk situation really stinks, but the reason why I want to play her video is that she brings up a good point in the fact that Jason Aldean is always surrounded with these very unusual and suspicious incidents like the Las Vegas shooting. It was actually taking place during his concerts. And it seems like it's always the same actors involved in these incidents, like the police chief, John Peltier, involved in multiple incidents like the Maui fires, Las Vegas shooting, the P. Diddy incident, and so forth. And talking about actors, these next two videos really goes to show not who just owns these scripts that we see in these events, but also who owns and controls Hollywood. It all comes in together.
All right, so we're here in Hollywood Boulevard. They're going Jimmy Kimmel Live, right? But look at the top of the building. Look what it says. Freemasonry builds its temple among the nations and in the hearts of men. Look at this. This is no other than Hollywood Boulevard. But look, the Jimmy Kimmel Live building is a Freemasonry building. I'm telling y'all, man, Hollywood is filled with Freemasonry. Coast is crazy. They made sure to make Jimmy Kimmel Live right here in this building. Y'all know what this means, man. Just like all the rest of these crazy, creepy places. But yeah, I just wanted to show y'all that Freemasonry in Kimmel, Hollywood.
When you go down that rabbit hole of the celebrities covering up one eye, doing the sixes over one eye.
Been hearing about the Freemasons for years, for decades. He's right. Look at this. Why are they all doing the same thing?
Might have been Jeremiah Cohen. He had one of those shows where he was saying it's all of them. And he would have montages that were 2 hours long. And it would be nothing but celebrities covering up their eye. And I would watch that many of them doing it. And I thought, okay, I guess it's all of them. But then part of your brain would say, no, wait, it can't be all of them. It's too many of them for it to be all real. It like breaks your mind to see everybody doing the one eye symbolism.
Yeah, because you're like, it can't be all of them because
you start to wonder, like you try to rationalize. You say maybe they tricked them into doing it. I don't think so.
We've got our emotions involved, right? So-and-so played a good character that we fell in love with in this movie or that movie or this TV show. There's no way they're involved. And then you look it up and it's like, they did the same things. They did the same exact things. They had the same symbolism, same everything. I'm convinced personally, if you're in the limelight,
Johnny Depp,
they will not risk giving you access to the public
Harrison Ford
if they can't control you.
Mindar, Japan's real-life robot monk, and it's here to teach us humans about enlightenment. Mindar was built in 2019 by Kodaji Temple and the University of Osaka at a cost of about $1 million, and it was designed to preach the Buddhist Heart Sutra, a text about the emptiness of all things. A metal robot teaching us about emptiness. That's a bit ironic. The temple's priests hoped that it would inspire younger generations who no longer visit temples, because in Japan, religion is fading. So they asked themselves, if people won't come to the monks, maybe the monks should come to them through technology. It's a poetic idea. I mean, a robot teaching that form is emptiness. But here's where things get a bit eerie. Mindar doesn't just chant scriptures, it makes eye contact, gestures gracefully, and even explains Buddhist philosophy. It's not currently AI autonomous, which means Mindar is preloaded with all these scriptures, and it can't actually engage in open dialogue with the people. So what's the point? To me, it just sounds like lazy preaching, because aren't we taking out the soul of a sermon by getting a robot to recite it? Visitors say they feel calm, even emotional after watching Mindar, but others, they are unsettled, because behind its soft-spoken wisdom lies a deeper question. Is this truly a monk or a mirror of what humanity is becoming? Automate everything, including spirituality. But I like to think of it this way. Robots don't actually have the credibility that humans have. A robot priest cannot go on a pilgrimage or engage in celibacy, things that inspire trust in other humans. Mindar can't meditate, can't feel compassion, and definitely cannot suffer. So how is it going to teach us humans to transcend suffering? I think it still has a long way to go. But maybe this is something to think about if you're ever afraid that AI might replace your job. What are jobs that require the credibility of a human touch? I just found this very interesting and I decided to share this, but yeah, let me know your thoughts.
It is absolutely wild to me how AI is just absolutely everywhere, especially with the spiritual side of things. Before it came out that people could talk to an AI Jesus, but now it seems like AI is throughout all religions. And I wonder if that's the end goal, a one autonomous religion. And talking about AI and the digital ID, we have to remember that it's not just the United Kingdom, but also other countries that will be facing this and are facing this, like
resist the chip, man. If they try to come with some chip nonsense, definitely fight back.
Over in Australia,
Minister Gallagher introduced the digital ID. She promised every Australian over 16 would need a digital ID and it would be voluntary. The ink was not dry on that legislation when the Uni Party advanced this idea for a compulsory social media age limit. A simple idea raising many red flags. The issue is not who signs into social media. The issue is who's using the account. This requires the device camera to always be on, to check the user's image against their digital ID, to prevent, for instance, younger siblings taking over the session. Penalties for spreading misinformation, or opinions as they used to be called, can then be levied against the correct person, with a photo of you making it the post to prove it was you. The Uniparty campaign to stamp out wrongthink on social media will require a camera in every adolescent's bedroom, running every moment their computer, tablet or phone is in use. Hacking into cameras is easy. This proposal will be a paradise and increase crimes against children. Using social media in public, cafe, public transport, shops will be a nightmare. Social media companies will need to run artificial intelligence to work out which image is the person operating the device and which is someone in the background. To answer the question, is this person over 16, will require every Australian's biometric data. Who knows what else this identification and surveillance AI will do without our knowledge. The Uni Party that introduced this bill under Mr Morrison and passed it under Mr Albanese will produce unintended consequences that far outweigh any benefit. One Nation believes in the primacy of parents over the state. Parents must be free to raise their children as they choose, not as the government dictates.
I don't trust the drones. I don't trust the chips. You know, let me tell you something. If you carry around a card with a digital ID, your chip is just not on the inside of you. I don't want no biometrics, no digital ID. I don't care if it's on in the inside or the outside.
Awan ini mah, yang warna hitam. Buddha. Awan ini.
What is that?
Awan ini, awan hitam. Nah.
What is that?
Busa.
That's the foam?
Busa. Bau. Oh, it's beracun.
My bad. That wasn't even a spacecraft. That looks like a big, giant piece of foam. You know, we've talked about microplastics before. You know, I think I actually was covering this channel when I talked about microplastics. You know, they say they form in the air and that they come down in big globs now. You know, I don't know what that is. That's wild. What is that?
Busa ini turun dari yang itu masih ada.
Nih orang pagi-pagi tuh kayak bau speed teh tadi pagi tuh. Kayak bau speed teh. Bukan busa, kayak busa sabun gitu ya.
Does anybody know exactly where this location happens to be? Because whatever happens to be touching down, this blackish, purplish like foam cannot be good.
Foam flying out the air. You already know. Big shout out to Minutes of Horror, Seconds of Horror. Yo, Fang, I'ma holler at you later. I can't help talking when some of that stuff is going on. I'll keep pausing it because I got a lot to say. You know, what I've been trying to tell you guys is the stuff that I cover, even as far-fetched as it is, some of it, there's validity to it. I come to you with stuff that has news reports behind it. And then they say, what are the odds of that? And she said 0 to none. You know, and that doesn't mean everything is valid. But what I'm saying is when there's too many coincidences, something ain't right. Listen, man, it's your boy Spankdog. I hope you enjoyed the video. Much love to you guys. As always, real love, no fake love. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy Spankdog. I'm out of here. Much love. One.